What's going on, everyone? Togavor here, and today I am hyped to be bringing you guys my draft analysis slash recap of my draft for Season 6 of the National Pokeball League, the NPL. If you want to see the coverage from the draft live stream, make sure you go check out twitch.tv/Crobat for the win. And if you don't like Twitch or don't want to do that, there should hopefully be a video up on the National Pokeball League official channel shortly. Before we start things off, I just want to give some shout-outs, first of all, to my boys, That Fries and The Flying Bird, for the tremendous work on the graphics, some of which you will see in my own video and were instrumental in that draft recap live stream. And additionally, just want to give a shout-out to our coaches who left after last season. We had my boy Matty Brawla, coach of the St. Louis Reshiram, Cypher, coach of the Detroit Lifehards, Pokey Rob, coach of the Austin Toros, Badoof Crazy Videos, coach of the Boston Badoofs, and longtime NPL coach Cheeseboy628, coach of the Phoenix Sunkern. We can hope that some of them may be able to return in future seasons, especially Matty Brawlick. I'm pretty confident that that is in his plans for a Season 7 return. But although it sucks to lose some great coaches, it does bring in some excitement of new ones. So to replace those, we have 5 new coaches this season. We have my boy, Mr. Murkrow Merk, GPC champion, recently crowned. My boy Carney Hobo, coach of the Vancouver Stealth Rockies, longtime minors competitor and analyst for the NPL in majors this season. Super excited for this opportunity for him. We have Iron Flash Gaming, coach of the Detroit Butterfree. He's CPC Season 3 champion. He's a very, very skilled draft player. We have It's Gator, who I don't believe has done anything notable draft-wise, but is a bigger channel. And last but not least, we have PokeAim MD, coach of the Bronx Bearticks. Y'all probably already know who he is. So that's a super exciting addition for this season as well. It's looking to be definitely one of the most competitive draft seasons ever in any league, for sure, at least in my opinion. So, going directly into this draft, it's Gen 7, super excited for the, I'm always excited for a new NPL season, but especially for a new generation. So there's probably going to be some broken things out there, but my general strategy approaching this draft was to, I didn't know a lot about a lot of the Gen 7 things, and I actually had one of the last picks. I had the 15th pick. I wanted to get as close to the wheel as I could, so that's why I chose to go there. And yeah, so because of that, I thought a lot of the Gen 7 Pokemon would go early, especially some that I didn't think were that spectacular. Obviously, I do think some are, like Tapu Lele. For instance, it's a Pokemon, if by some miracle would have fell to me, I absolutely would have picked it, of course. But a lot of Gen 7 Pokemon I thought would be reaches, and so because of that, I decided I wanted to fall back on reliable Pokemon from Generation 6 to form a solid team. Additionally, I wanted to build a little more of a defensive team than I usually do. That just means sliding even heavier into bulky offense. I'm not going to I wouldn't even call my team as it ended up being balanced, but it just has a little bit more bulk and reliable switch-ins than my teams might usually have, which just makes me feel a lot more comfortable using it. And you might see some traces of some drafts of my good friends, who I may have, drawn inspiration from while picking. But that being said, we went 15th. Let's just launch straight into this first pick. We have Ophelia the Clefable. Yes, and you can see this masterpiece of a background for this pick, holding the skull of its, dearly departed lover. I mean, Ophelia killed herself too, so it doesn't really matter. But regardless about me babbling on about Hamlet, Clefable. I don't think this would have fallen to 15th in a Gen 6 draft, so I think that kind of already illustrates you, the opportunities that come with some of these Pokemon being arguably overdrafted. Clefable, you guys have probably seen it in League play so many times. Great defensive typing, mediocre stats. It always seems bulkier than it actually is. Just one second. Hello? Excuse me, but it always feels a little bit bulkier than it is just because of its typing and its ability to run things like Calm Mind. It has 2 great abilities in Unaware and Magic Guard, and just fantastic coverage. It's a Stealth Rocker if I need it to be. It's a Wish Passer if I need it to be. I've never used Clefable in draft format before, and actually I believe I don't have a single Pokemon on my roster that I've ever used in the NPL before. And a lot of them I've never used in draft format, and Clefable is one of those Pokemon I have never used in draft format, so I'm super excited, but also a little nervous because, you know, it's all new Pokemon, so we'll see how it goes. But anyways, pick 2 was pretty much right after pick 1, and I decided to go with Weavile. Yes, Weavile, if you watched Gypsy King's undefeated and then championship run in the NPL Season 5, you saw this thing was a monster. It's just so quick. It's able to get so many kills because of its outrageous speed, and on top of that, very strong priority. And I think in lots of ways, you know, it's a nice thing to go along with Clefable. Obviously, they're both weak to steel types, but just in how they function together, how Clefable is able to be a reliable switch into, you know, a lot of fighting types and things that would normally switch in to Weavile, such as Keldeo. So you can already see I'm trying to build some type synergy there, but Weavile also is not a particularly versatile mon in the way that it's used, but it does have ample coverage for what it you know, it needs to be successful, in that it already has great stabs in Dark and Ice with priority, and then to add on to that, it has, you know, Swords Dance, Low Kick, Poison Jab, and at that point, that's really all you need for this Pokemon to be successful, and it's just proven to be a behemoth in draft format before. Again, it's a Pokemon that I've never used, but I was really happy to be able to snag onto that at about, I think, the place where it probably should be drafted, early round 2, late round 1. It's probably a fair point for Weavile to be drafted after it's proven to be so threatening. It's just really nice to get something at that top tier base 125 speed, because almost nothing outspeeds it. In addition to that, it has strong priority, as I already stated, so I think Weavile will be a very, very good Pokemon for me this season, and I'm super excited. So, I had to wait like 40 picks for my next one, but I picked Mega Venusaur, another Pokemon I have never used before. And, you know, you might look at Clefable Mega Venusaur and be like, hey, I've seen that before, yes. Jolt from the Token Minorities, Mr. Murkrow, they have both used this core to enormous success. The synergy is just amazing, and in my opinion, actually, I almost like a Fairy Dragon Poison core just about as much as a Fairy Dragon Steel core, I think. I kind of think that Fairy Dragon Poison Steel is the 4 essential typings of a very strong defensive core in Draft League format. And it is, you know, with the thick fat ability, obviously, it gets rid of almost all of its weaknesses. It's a very, very surprisingly versatile Pokemon, because I feel like a lot of people just look at it and see fat, but it has tremendous offensive capabilities on both sides of the spectrum. It has, you know, average speed at base 80 to where you can outspeed some wall breakers if you need to and pick them off with its offensive prowess. It has just, you know, access to things like Leech Seed, which will help me switch around my other Pokemon, bulkier Pokemon that may or may not have recovery to help heal them up and regenerate them. It has fairly reliable recovery and synthesis, and overall it's just a Pokemon that's so hard to break through. It oftentimes will take so much for an opponent to prep for it, and that's exactly why I'm looking forward to using this Pokemon so much. Now, immediately after it, on the wheel, I chose Thundurus Therian, and now you're just thinking Mr. Murkrow won a GPC championship with this team, pretty much. And I'm like, hell yeah, he did, and I'm going to win an NPL season championship with it as well. At least that's my plan. So, I got Thundurus Therian round 4. I believe Thundurus I was also available at the time, but I prefer Thundurus T in a lot of respects, mainly because it hits harder without any boosts, and it's significantly bulkier. And because it's significantly bulkier, you can often run things like an Assault Vest on it, and it can be a good, reliable switch into pretty offensive flying types, such as like Tornadus Therian is a good example. An Assault Vest Thundy T can reliably switch into that. A Mega Pidgeot's another one, even though it wasn't drafted. AV Thundy T is a great switch into Mega Pidgeot. And also it has more threatening, like, agility, nasty plot sets, dual dance. You can just run one depending on the matchup, and that's why I really like Thundurus T. I don't necessarily think it's 100% better than Thundy I, but just with the style of my team being more bulky offense, that's the direction I wanted to go. I feel like Thundy I lacks the power to get a lot of OHKOs in the format, and additionally, it doesn't have the bulk. It has so little bulk to a lot of times that it'll just die to a neutral stab hit. A lot of times which Thundy T is able to live, which is why I prefer it. So again, You can see I'm kind of picking in pairs here, but after it went all the way through, like another 30 or so picks until my turn, I managed to pick up Gothitelle at round 5. Now, if you needed more evidence for maybe Gen 7 Pokemon being a little overdrafted, look no further than this monster. Gothitelle is a Pokemon that has been banned from Smogon OU. Shadow Tag has been banned from Smogon OU, that is. And also, it's been proven, it's been almost banned in a lot of leagues, it's been banned in some leagues. Because of its ability to be in the draft format, you're able to customize its ability, not its ability, what am I saying? You're always going to run Shadow Tag on this thing. But you're able to customize its EVs and its, and its moveset and its item to specifically cater to almost any one Pokemon that you wish to eliminate from your opponent's team. And because of that is why I think it's such a hard, it's almost impossible to prepare for. And a lot of times what you'll see people do is just like run 2 or 3 Shed Shells on the team, and then you don't even bring Gothitelle, and by sitting on the bench it causes your opponent to lose 2 or 3 items. So because of that, I really like it. I think it'll be fantastic paired with Weavile, because a lot of times teams only have 1 or 2 reliable switch-ins to a mon like Weavile, and it's able to come in, trap, and eliminate those, and make room for a Pokemon like Weavile to clean up late game. Now immediately following that in round 6, I picked up Lucario. Don't know how this thing fell either. It is a monster again. This team is full of monsters in my opinion. If there's any one weakness at this point, it's definitely the fact that my ground switching is Thundy T, but that being said, Goth can trap ground types, and Venu a lot of times can take neutral ground hits because of how fat it is. But Lucario, access to priority on both sides, access to setup on both sides, contestedly the best non-mega fighting type in draft format, as it has such an amazing move pool. It has access to, extreme speed, bullet punch, vacuum wave, close combat, aura sphere, dark pulse, flash cannon, iron tail. It just gets literally everything. It has mediocre speed at base 90, but its priority allows it to overcome that. You can even slap things like a choice band on it and just smash through walls. As at this point, aside from Thundy T, I didn't really have a good physical breaker, as Weavile is more of a... Weavile can be a breaker depending on the matchup, but it's definitely more of a cleaner in the way that I feel like it's best utilized, and the way that it has the most potential in the format. I haven't managed to get my hands on Lucario in the NPL before. I've used it in other leagues to pretty good success. It's almost always a win con, if you want it to be, every single game. And so, because of that, I think it's a fantastic pickup for me, especially for the value I got it at round 6. And so, yeah. So now, down to my next pair. At this point, my team was lacking hazard removal, clearly, so I decided to add the ground weakness. Now, this isn't actually what I wanted to do. I really wanted at this point to draft Mantine, because it has really nice synergy with Thundurus in the fact that it takes... Thundy T can deter those electric type moves, as normally you can just Volt Switch out on Mantine, get Switch Initiative, but Thundy T would help deter that, as well as the fact that my team didn't really have a good Scald Switch at that point, and Mantine with the Water Absorb obviously is a very good Scald Switch in. But Merc sniped that from me. I guess he was salty that I stole too much of his team from GPC Season 5. So that's why I decided to go Tentacruel. Now, not a bad Pokemon at all. It has nice base 100 speed. It has the Rapid Spin, which I like. It has Toxic Spikes, which I think are just amazing in draft format. If someone doesn't have a Poison type or a reliable Defogger that has Levitate, you're almost always going to get a Poison off. And just the ability to whittle down an opponent's team when you are running a fattier, bulky offense team yourself, I think is a tremendous asset on any team. It is a water type. It gives me another fighting resist, which I have 4 fighting resists at this point, 5 fighting resists at this point, so that's really nice, as fighting is one of the best types for sure. It also is a fire resist, something that I had a very hard time switching into earlier, and a weakness that I'm going to have to continue patching up with some of my later picks. Definitely not my first choice for the position, but not a bad pick at all, and we'll see if I can make it work. Now next, at this point, I had nothing for a powerful fairy type especially a Fairy Psychic type like Tapu Lele or Mega Gardevoir, both of which were drafted very early on in the draft. So I picked up Bronzong. Bronzong also gives me a Stealth Rocker or something else that I mean, I was about to say I didn't have it before. Clefable is a Stealth Rocker, but you really don't want to run Stealth Rocks on it, because it usually has better things to do. But Bronzong is a very nice and reliable Stealth Rocker. I love that it has mixed attacking capabilities, which allows it to tack on hidden powers to hit 4x things, that are 4x weak things that you want to switch it in on. It has reliable stabs and things like Gyro Ball, and, you know, it's a cool Pokemon. It doesn't have reliable recovery, but with Clefable's ability to wish, that's, you know, a very nice recipient of Clefable's wish, and it has some really nice utility. It has dual screens, I do believe. It gets Explosion, it gets Earthquake, so it does get some handy-dandy coverage moves and utility moves that make it viable in almost any matchup. So, and I needed a Stealth Rocker, I needed a switch into Fairies and Psychics, so, you know, it's there to do that for me. Again, after those first 6 picks, I'm going into just like, these are the specific niches I need to fill after that, you know, those first 6 are really the core that my team is going to be built around. Now, with my 9th pick, I picked up my boy Haxorus. Now, Dragonite was still available at this time. The reason that I did not pick Dragonite up is that my only hazard removal was Tentacruel, and I didn't really see myself picking another hazard remover. Because of that, I actually think Haxorus is better because of its more natural base speed. I believe it has higher attack from the get-go. It lacks priority, which is unfortunate, but between Weavile and Lucario, I have good priority options already. Haxorus is just a better pure breaker, which I felt like was better with my team, and, you know, really the biggest thing was the fact that unless you can effectively keep rocks off the field, Dragonite can oftentimes be O-coded by HP Ice, especially in the draft format. Which is why I think Haxorus, if you don't have amazing hazard removal, I think is better. That's why I picked it. And I've actually, like last season, one of the main reasons I picked it is I did a lot of mock battles using Danza's team against other people. It just happened that I ended up using it like 4 or 5 times. And almost every single game, Haxorus was a win condition. And, like, it's just like Lucario, like Thundee T, you can customize it in almost any matchup. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. You can run Swords Dance. If you have the speed tier you need for the team already, you can run Swords Dance, Dragon Dance. You can just run the classic Dragon Dance. But Haxorus is definitely a Pokemon I am looking forward to using this season. Now next, I wanted a ground type. I wanted a second switch into electric moves aside from Thundee T. Well, second immunity, Mega Venusaur is already a very reliable switch in. But, yep, that's why I picked it. Additionally, it gives me a water immunity, allowing it to switch into Scalds. It does have that unfortunate 4x grass weakness, but as you can see from the rest of my team, I literally have no other grass weaknesses. So because of that, if people are going to run Hidden Power Grasses on it when it's a Pokemon that I'm not going to bring the most, like Seismic Toad will come some weeks, but it won't come a lot of weeks. Like, it's going to force people to run HP Grass when it's not good versus literally every other Pokemon on my team. So, it also gives me another Stealth Rocker. I really wanted to get a second Stealth Rocker for sure. And, you know, it can run some cool, you know, I could run a pseudo rain team with this, drop it in the Swift Swimmer. So that's kind of cool as an option. It has decent speed in the rain, and has pretty good attack and special attack respectively, so it's definitely looking like it could be a threat on the offensive side, but mainly this season it's going to be used for its utility and getting rocks up, knocking things off, clicking Toxic on opponents' bulky mons, doing the kind of dirty work that Seismitoad usually does in the normal Smogon tiers. Now with my final pick, I was kind of struggling what to pick. I tried to pick Swellow, but that was already taken. I was out while making these picks. But then I looked at the draft board, and I saw this thing not picked, and I just, it fit my team so well. I grabbed Minior with my last pick. I don't know how this thing honestly fell so far. I think Minior is contestedly the best Shell Smasher in the game at this point, and that mainly goes to its ability Shields Down, which makes it so when it's in its Meteor form, before it drops below 50%, it cannot be statused. It has base 100 defenses, which then, after it transforms, turn into base 100 offense, and its prior bad speed of base 60 is doubled to base 120 speed. So after a Stealth Smash with even almost no investment, you'll pretty much be able to outspeed any Scarfer on your opponent's team, which is magnificent. It has great coverage in just Acrobatics, Edgequake, and then it can even run some special sets, you know, Psychic, Dazzling Gleam, Power Gem, that kind of shenanigans. Additionally, it's a third Stealth Rocker. It can be a Suicide Leader with, you know, like Stealth Rock, U-Turn, Explosion, Stone Edge, that kind of thing with the Focus Sash, of course. So I think it brings a lot of opportunities. Now, you will notice there is that blank 12th spot right there, where I did not select him on. We have this thing where if you draft basically like an NU or lower Pokemon 9th round or before or prior, then you would get a 12th Pokemon also from like that NU and lower tier about, but I didn't do that. I felt like I'd just be better off with 11 solid Mons, and as you can see, like I picked Haxorus as my round 9 pick, so like, you know, I felt like it was just better to get that consistent value than drop into the lower tiers. But yeah, the one other thing I forgot to mention as I was going through my draft is that the way that the NPL is doing Z moves is a little bit unique. We are banning status moves, so you can't use things like Rain Dance, which will give like Manaphy the +1 speed, or Sandstorm, which give Garchomp the +1 speed and the evasion. Like, we're banning that because that stuff's all broken. No Z Belly Drum, no Z Happy Hour. You know, I was actually for keeping them unbanned. I thought they were a lot of fun, but you know, can't win always in life. But the way it is working is that you choose 3 of your Pokemon after your draft is finished to be your Z Pokemon, and those Z Pokemon can run offensive Z moves. So the 3 that I chose were Haxorus, because I think it'll allow it to open up some sweeps in some games. Lucario, because sometimes its non-stab coverage moves miss out on Okos, or even its stab coverage moves. And then Thundy T, pretty much for the same reason. So I put it on my 3 biggest setup sweepers to allow them to break through teams more easily, essentially. So you can see right here, this is the squad for Season 6 of the NPL. You know, they're just kind of sitting in the stars right now. Everything's lined up for a successful season for us to possibly take the title, and I could not be more hyped. So again, thanks for watching. Make sure you go check out the 2 graphics analysts. Make sure you go check out the National Pokeball League channel. Uploads for all of Week 1 will be out December 26th, so we're going to give you a late Christmas present. Hope you all enjoy. Hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm Togavor, you're yourself. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!